we're going to talk about getting hired today. So we're going to start with a quick poll here. How many of you have applied for a job before? Lots of people. Great. And how many of you guys have gotten no response at all? Oh, wow. OK, that's tough. How many people have done a work test before? OK, slightly fewer people. How many people have made it to a second interview? That's good. There's hope. All right. So you want to be a developer. There's a lot of things working against us right now. We just gotten out of a pandemic. A lot of the people here look like maybe they've been in school recently. Maybe some of your school was done online. You didn't have a chance to meet people face-to-face, make eye contact. Communicating is tough, even if you have been doing it your whole life. Applying for a job is tough. You have to build a portfolio. And now we got to worry about tech maybe coming for our jobs and replacing us, with AI. Never fear. I am here to help you today and in the future. So why me? I've been doing hiring since 2008. I have hired programmers, artists, QA, all disciplines under the sun. I've done hiring in Japan. I've done hiring in Sweden. I've worked with trade schools. I've reviewed probably close to 1,000 job applications. I've had hundreds of interviews. I have seen it all under the sun. I'm a creative director of Ichigo Ichie, which is an indie studio in Stockholm. And I've built games over time through Japan and Sweden, mostly music games. I love music and music software. Our studio has a couple titles out. But today we're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of how to get a job. We're going to go through 5 potential phases of interviewing for a job. And we're going to look at some examples of behaviors that can help you or behaviors that might kind of get in your way and slow you down. Now, this is my hiring process. Of course, every company does a little bit differently. But the principles I'm talking about is person-to-person communication and adding value to a worker-employee relationship. And that works whether you're in a company of 5 people or 20,000, regardless of which country it's in. So let's start with phase 1, that job submission, the application submission we talked about a second ago. So you sent it out, and then you got no reply. It's so easy to find jobs in terms of the number of jobs you can find. There's lots of scrapers that are out there that are pulling them off of LinkedIn. I don't have to advertise. Bots do that for me. Maybe you've applied and the timing is wrong. If you guys are in school right now, maybe you're trying to get an internship or you want something fresh. If you tell me between March and May, that's helpful because then I have context of when you want to start working. But if it's past the end of January, it's not helpful because I make most of my hiring decisions half a year, sometimes a year in advance. There's just, I need that kind of runway in terms of how my staffing is going to be. So try to be flexible. Maybe your school allows you to do the internship later. Maybe you can start a couple months later, do an extra semester, something like that. A lot of the things I'm going to talk about today are about personal connection. Nobody likes to be treated like a number. You guys certainly don't. I don't either. I don't like my company to feel like a number, one of 100 companies which you've applied to and haven't really given a lot of thought to. So when you do apply, you are starting a process. From the moment you hit that button, you are simulating yourself as an employee of my company. And the way you conduct yourself in that entire experience is going to tell me whether I think we would be a good fit for each other. So when you have that application, don't skip the instructions. Don't apply if you meet any core requirements. I've gotten applications for like social media marketer from a programmer who has nothing on their resume at all that would suggest they know anything about social media marketing. Don't use AI-generated text, please. I know it might be like tempting to get a way out, and maybe you feel not so confident in your own communication skills. But I will take your strange English over a robot's strange English any day. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking. Don't copy the email body out of your cover letter. Either use one or the other or make them different. And don't make a bad first impression, because I get everything, right? I'm the hiring manager. I'm also the marketing guy. So I get the email that says, Bob followed you on Instagram. I go, OK, let's check out Bob. Click on his profile, and it's like him and a bunch of like gore makeup from Halloween and last year or something like that. It's his personal Instagram. He likes our company, great. But now I'm seeing Bob with gore makeup. Oh, another email. Here's an application. Who's this from? Oh, it's from Bob. And now I have this CV, and I have this person who's trying to be professional and talk to me about the job. But I have this picture in my mind of Bob in gore makeup at the top of his Instagram. So if you're going to follow us on social media, do it with an account that looks professional, right? Because it's hard for me to separate those two. There's lots of hallmarks of a low-effort cover letter. I get all kinds of things thrown back sometimes, like there's the catchphrase from our website. Oh, you went to our website and copied some text. Great. But then you show that you don't have any understanding of what it means. Like, I say weird things all the time. That's me because I'm weird. So it's easy for me to catch these kind of stuff. I see the job title. I'm applying for conceptually charismatic illustrator, parentheses, intern. You know, I got these really weird job names, and then there's like no comment at all about how weird the name is. So it's obvious it's just being thrown in here, and it's one on the deck. Sometimes people have multiple fonts with different colors. It's obvious something has been copied and pasted from different places. If you're not scrutinizing and detail-oriented when you're applying for your job, I can't expect you're going to be detail-oriented and scrutinizing when you're working for me either, and that's kind of a red flag. The last thing is that maybe the content is all about the applicant. The applicant, I really want to hear why you're a great fit, but you need to tell me why you're a great fit for us, not all the stuff that you've done right away. There needs to be some kind of give and take in this relationship. So if you take the time to do a little research on the company in advance, you can get a lot more mileage out of this. Are there demos on Steam? Yes, all of our games have free demos on Steam. You can play them. Try those out for 10 minutes and then see what you think. See if you'd like to make those kind of games. What's the tone in the messaging on the company's website? Is it friendly? Is it professional? Is it kind of, you know, aggro? Is it all about doing like the best possible cool modeling, whatever it is? Talk about your strengths in the context of the job listing. So, okay, you have experience doing X, Y, and Z modeling or programming AI for enemies. Great. How would that help us in our games? I could see how my enemy programming skills could make a next level of bad guys to tackle and backbeat in that franchise or something like that. Try to make a personal connection. It is a person on their side. I promise it's me. So, you know, think about me. Think about how we can start some kind of rapport or something. If you're insecure about something, bring it up. Don't try to hide it. So if you are that programmer that applied for the marketing position, that's fine, but you should say, I know my CV is like nothing but C# and C++, but I really love data analytics and I really love Instagram. So I thought this would be a great opportunity for me to try something new in games development and to grow. Fine, great. Now you know where you're coming from, and I know you're aware of that. That's great. Awareness is a very important thing. Here's a cover letter that makes me stop. I get lots and lots of cover letters. This is a really weird one. It's one of the weirdest I've ever gotten, and I mean that in a good way. This is the kind of cover letter that I pass around to people in the office, and I'm like, look at this person. They went so far as they drew a map from their house to the office, and like telling me how long the commute is going to be. And they've like, this is one part of a bigger board where it's like this kind of criminal detective. Who is the culprit? And the culprit is the person applying, and they're applying for our job. Maybe they did this for 10 other companies, and they just copied and changed the text inside. I don't care, because this is so weird, and it requires so much originality and thought that I'm happy to get this, and it's got me talking about it. Persistence may pay off, if it's the right kind of persistence. I get a lot of mails like, hi, I saw your listing for XYZ. Looks perfect for me. I want to apply. OK. Again, there was no personal connection there. You didn't talk about my products. You didn't really seem to me like you were thinking about how you could be working at my place. But then 2 weeks later, the same person says, you know, I just wanted to follow up in case my application got lost in the stack. You know, I was thinking about Backbeat's protagonist Watts. And the thing is, she's trying to keep together a band. And, oh, wow, OK, this person has stopped. They read the Steam page. They very likely may have even played the game. OK, great. And now they're talking to me about the game that I made. You know, so I don't feel like a number anymore now. I feel special because I'm being valued. And that makes me want to value you even more, because now I want to have a conversation about this kind of person that thinks our wacky games could be interesting to work on for them. So let's say that you did the application, and it was personal enough, and you connected with me. And now we're going to have a first-round interview. And what I usually do is a screening interview. It can be video. It can be on site if you're nearby. It's probably at most 30 minutes long, as little as 15. And what I want to do is see if we mesh. I just want to talk to you. I want to make eye contact. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear what's important to you. You're going to come by. I could ask you all kinds of things about yourself. Because my mother always told me people love talking about themselves. And they probably do in a social context, but not when they're being grilled at an interview. But I'm going to ask anyway. I'm going to say, tell me about yourself. Tell me a game you played in the last year. Tell me about your best group project if you've been in school recently. And I'm going to ask, of these things, what are some strong points? What are some ways these things could be better? We're looking for critical evaluation here, both on yourself and also in other people's competing products. And I'm going to ask if you have questions for me, and I certainly hope that you do, because if you've thought about this, there definitely should be some questions now, leaping off points for a conversation. Don't show up more than 5 minutes early to an interview. That's just trouble for both of us. I know you people are nervous, and you make sure you found the right place, but if you show up 15 minutes early, then I got to stop whatever it is I'm working on, go out to the street, let you in through the security doors, sit you down in the conference room, get you a cup of coffee or something, and then you're going to sit there and stew while I go back to my desk and get ready for the meeting, because it was supposed to start at 3, not 2:45. The good thing to do is get there early, absolutely. Find the front door, then immediately walk away. Go down the street, go to Espresso House or Starbucks or whatever. Sit there and get ready and prep yourself in your own mind space until 5 minutes, all right, 5 minutes early. Then knock on the door and come on in. Don't ramble on, and don't give non-answers to questions. If I ask a yes or no question, a yes or no answer is really good. Explanations are fine, but if I say, are you looking for an internship that will give you course credit? And you come back with, well, I'm in Stockholm right now finishing my internship, and I have this remote course that I'm doing, and I want to be an intern. Okay, you didn't listen to my question, or you didn't process that. This is some kind of disconnect going on here. Take a breath. Listen to what I asked. Process it. Come back. Don't blame other team members or bosses that you've had in the past for failures. Why are you leaving company XYZ? Oh, because they never listened to me, or I never got to contribute, or this or that, or why did this project not go well? You said it was a disaster. Well, we had this really difficult person in there, and it's a team effort all the time. Owe up to being a part of the process, and be able to have a holistic view on how you fit in with everyone else. Be respectful of my time. Time is the most valuable resource I have. Ask me how much I have. Just because I told you the interview was 30 minutes long 2 weeks ago, maybe I don't have 30 minutes right now. And if you're going to say, hi, thank you for today, how much time do we have? Well, actually, I have something else that's like an important thing that came in. I got to go home early. But yeah, so we'll make it 20 if that's all right. Tell me about your values. Be able to be introspective about your contributions, and be able to be critical of other games. There's a kind of a trap here. I ask people, what's your favorite? What's one game you played in the last year? And they say, oh, it was Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Great. What's great about it? Oh, it has the best lighting and the cell shading and And how could they improve it? Well, I loved it so much, I can't really think of that, right? More content? And oh, okay, yeah. You need to be able to be critical of our art as the game developer, so you need to be able to separate the love and the emotion from evaluating things objectively. If you can't answer these kind of questions, sit down and think about them a bit more. So let's say we had a good mesh in our first meeting. You want to keep working with me. I am interested in working with you. So we're going to do a work test. And I'm not going to talk about whether work tests are ethical or not, or they should be paid or not. That's an entirely different talk. But we're just going to assume, for argument's sake, that you're doing one. When you do a work test, don't start without reading the entire brief several times. Don't go off on a tangent and just do what you want to do. If you're a modeler, you're like, oh, yes, I get to make a character. If you're a programmer, yes, enemy AI. Whoosh. That is the road to ruin, because then when you do that, you get caught up in the moment, you'll skip instructions, you might leave out information. You should go through it again, and again, and again, and do some things before you start. Ask for clarification on vague things. I've refined my work tests over many years to try to make them less vague, but some things were still intentionally vague, because I want to see how people deal with ambiguity. It's perfectly fine to ask questions. It's never bad to ask questions. Do it before you start. Do it in the middle. It doesn't matter to me. Be thorough and document your time. Again, like I said, we're simulating you working at my company, right? And if you're going to be working as a professional at a game developer, you need to keep track of your time. You need to estimate your work. Keep track of which part went to which phase. And document your assumptions. Get feedback. Hedge your risks. Things like that. Take a second and do a compassion exercise. You can look at the prompt. You still haven't started yet, and you're thinking there, okay, how could I make this as easy as possible for the person who's going to receive it to review? How busy is this person? Is it the HR manager? Is it an art director? Is it a lead programmer? What could go wrong? Something in the time or the location. Maybe they have some difficulty getting access to some of the things that I've sent on. think a bit deeper. Who is it? Is it the person I'm emailing with? Is it Dave? Is it someone on Dave's team? You could ask those things. Is he a Mac guy? Is it a Windows person? Do they have the same tools? What if they're at a conference when they get my materials? What if one of the files is corrupted? What if the Dropbox link was private? You know, what if they can't open one of the codecs in one of the video files that I send or something like that? There's lots of things that can go wrong here. Some of these things you can ask for clarification in advance. Some things you can hedge your bets. A great mentor of mine always said that you have at least 2 or 3 backups whenever you do something really important, like a presentation or sending in an assignment. Give me so many different kinds of data that there's no way I'm not going to be able to open it. Because maybe I'm going through my 10th work test today, and if the Dropbox link is private, then it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I'll come back to this next week. You can check some of the stuff with a private browser window. You could use a different folder on your machine. Sometimes you have a space in the path to your username, or you have a special character, things like that. Windows machines are usually terrible, that kind of stuff. Simulate all the ways it can go wrong. Stop to think about the task. This is the why. Why am I being asked to make a walk cycle? Why am I being asked to create a state machine? What kind of characters do they have in their games? What kind of game logic does it use? Is this request similar to the things that they have produced before? Were there any images provided in the task? If they were, why? What things were lacking images? Again, most of these things are assumptions, so you should document them. Getting a document which tells me about where the time went, what you did, and what you assumed is incredibly important, because that's part of the process of working on something. My ideal work test package is you follow the directions. Of course, there might be times where you need to deviate, or maybe you have a spark of inspiration. If you are going to deviate, acknowledge the fact, be honest about it, and explain why. It can open on any kind of machine. Give me 3 different levels of files. Give me the source file. Give me the intermediate file. Give me some work on any kind of device file, like screenshots. It should be a minimal amount of fuss from interview stuff. Imagine if you give me an animation. I say, OK, give me a walk cycle. Don't give me a 1-second video, because that's a single cycle of the motion. And now I have to go through my software and find where the loop key is on VLC or QuickTime or whatever. And on top of that, you are also assuming that that software is going to loop cleanly, and I'm not going to see a hitch when that animation happens. Don't leave that to someone else. Solve that problem yourself. Export a video with several loops, 8 loops. That's fine. If I ask you for 2 different kinds of animations, of like a side-by-side of a lazy walk and a confident walk, you're giving me 2 motions, put them in the same video. Do some kind of fly around or something with the Maya camera. Splice that stuff together so I can see all the differences very easily. And of course, give me documentation. Documentation is important because it's practice communicating. When you come to the company and you're creating programs or software designs or art, other people are going to be using them because we are a company. So your ability to communicate what you've done and why you did it the way you do is incredibly important. So let's say that the work test was not a disaster, and then we have a follow-up interview. This is going to be more in-depth, hopefully on site. When you come, don't make excuses about the programs that you have. Don't tell me about how Unity was crashing or Maya wasn't working or Windows was junk. And don't come in unprepared to talk about the test thoroughly, because we're going to be discussing this thing that you invested your precious time in, and I invested my precious time evaluating. And we're going to see what it's like. And we need to look at this from all different kinds of angles to see what would it be like if we worked together, if we were a team. I could ask you some other things not related to the test. I could ask you about your strengths and weaknesses as a team member. This is about that empathy and awareness thing again, because I want to know how you work with others, not how you are in a vacuum necessarily. I might ask you personality in 3 words. This is another one of those little gotchas, because I use the number 3. 3 means 3. Sometimes people come up with 4 or 5 and just keep going. Like, no, stop. 3 is enough. What you value in other people. What's important to you in other humans that you want to spend time with. What's your career goal? If you can't answer these kind of things on the fly, that's OK. And this is actually kind of a bonus option to get extra credit here, because it's all right to say, I don't know. And the correct response is, I don't know. Can I get back to you on that? Sure. And then 4 hours later, 8 hours later, tomorrow, doesn't matter, in a reasonable short amount of time, follow up, email me. You know, Dave, I was thinking what you asked me, what I value in other people. I didn't have a good answer at the moment, but I've thought about it some more. And so now we've got communication. We've got back and forth. You're valuing me by showing that my question to you was worthy of your time to think about outside of the realm of that interview, and you're following up. That's the same kind of thing you do all the time in the company, you know? If you don't know the answer, you just acknowledge, you say that, you go back, you dig, you find the answer, you come back and you follow up. That's how we solve things. Do build on what we talked about the last time. Take notes. Everyone should take notes, whether they're written or digital or something like that. Come back and tell me about things that we talked about previously. Maybe you have some new ideas about that. Ask me directly what I thought about the work. David, you know, what do you think? Did I fulfill the objective of creating the character the way that you wanted? You know, and I will be honest with you. I'll say, well, you know, the topology was like this, and cell shading, etc. Tell me what you think about my evaluation. You know, it's just my evaluation. It's not like it's canon. It's coming out of the Bible or something like that. I've been doing this a long time, and I have ideas about what works from my way of doing things. But I appreciate fresh ideas, and I appreciate an open mind from you too. And if we can have a dialogue about that, that's great. Another great thing you can do is you can repeat back to what I just said. This is a great way to check both that you understand what the other person is talking about and also to value them when you're having the conversation. I hear that you say the topology was not so great for cell shading. I think that, and you know, then you continue on how, you know, the way you built it, the way it was, or whatever. It might be that I say, no, I said topology was good for cell shading, or no, I didn't say it should be orthogonal, it should be tangential, or something like that. Or then maybe we discover someplace where we misheard each other, misunderstood. Now we're working hard to improve our communication, the two of us together, a potential future team. Finally, there's all those times in between. Like I said, from the moment that you follow us on social media or you hit that submit button, you are running the simulation of what it's like to be Alice working at Ichigo Ichie. The way you conduct yourself, even when you don't, is important. Don't play games pretending to be sick. I know sometimes, like, there's a job fair and you get like an intern offer, and then me and 3 other companies that you like all asked you to do a work test, and you can't do them all at once, obviously, but you don't want to lose the chance to work for me. So you kind of tell me you'll do it the next week, and then like Friday comes around, like, well, my pet got sick and I had to go back and take care of my mother, and this kind of, I mean, I can smell this stuff. I've been reading these things and having these conversations long enough. I would much prefer if you were just honest and said, I really like to work at Paradox, and I'm doing work tests from them right now, and I want to give it my all. I will have an answer from them whether I go on to the next round or not by Tuesday. They've told me, can I do your work test after that? Sure, of course. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You're not going to be lesser in my ranking of potential candidates because you're honest with me about where you want to work. That's fine. What I want is ultimately I want people to work at my company that want to work there. I don't have to be your first choice, but if you are really motivated and you can see it potentially working out, then that's great. Let's work on that together. But I do prefer professionalism and being transparent about things. And I'll do the same for you. Be careful with shooting off one-line replies. This is the reading instructions thing. This happens all the time. Someone sends me something out of the blue. I write back with a clarifying single yes or no question, and then I get something with no introduction, no bottom, and then it didn't answer my question either. And it's like 5 minutes later. Heat of the moment, I understand, oh my God, I got to reply. No, stop, take a breath, step back, think about what's going on here, then reply. Be creative, be transparent, be persistent, but respectful, and be personal and empathetic, because it's teams that make games. That's what companies are. It's teams of people working together, and I want to work with empathetic, talented, excited people just like you. Ask for feedback on everything, about how you interview, about your application, about your email. Mean it, and I'm happy to give you feedback on what I think about all these things. So to wrap up, like I said, from the first moment you contact us, you're simulating yourself as an employee. And some companies may want mad skills, but for me, easy to work with people, people that communicate, people with great character, that want to work together and respect each other are the best kind of people. And that's the best kind of people for the job for me. Here's some good books. I'm not going to read them all out. These slides will go up later. I'll put them on the website or something. I just wanted to say thank you to my team, to all of our developers, to all of our student interns, to our schools, and to our accelerator Baltic Explorers. You guys are fantastic. Hello back there in Sweden and Japan. Miss you so much. You can learn more about our company. You can follow me on the medias and things like that. So I think we have a couple minutes for questions, if there's any. Thank you so much. If you have a question, please come up to one of the two mics. Yes.
Great talk, thank you. I was curious whether you had any particular advice or whether your advice changes in any way for entry-level jobs specifically.
The question is if I have any particular advice for entry-level jobs. So I was kind of talking mostly from an entry-level position, to be honest, during this talk. A lot of the people in our company are junior people straight out of school. So I think what I've said here is totally real. I understand you guys don't have a lot of experience, so building a portfolio is really tough. And I get that. So don't worry about that part. Just present yourself professionally and be open with me. And I think that'll be a good start. Yes, this side?
Hi. This is a great talk. Thank you. I was curious how much you value like thank you emails after interviews. I've heard about those before, but I didn't really know they were a thing. I was just curious if they're actually used in industry or not.
I always say thank you. I say thank you to my clients when I'm following up. I say thank you to the places where I have one-on-one person relationships. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort. You don't have to do something special there. A small thank you is fine, and it definitely does help. Yes.
Thank you.
Hmm? Yes. Meta.
It was a really good talk. I enjoyed it. I'm a student right now. I'm about to graduate this year, and I've been starting to write my resume, but I don't really have I don't have jobs experience. So I wanted to put education. What kind of courses would you recommend putting in your resume for education?
Do you have any group projects that you do in school?
Yeah.
Now, that's what I would reference. So I would talk about, okay, these courses had group projects, and then if you want to add in how you helped someone else look good, or how the team came together to create a great result or something like that. Those are the kind of things that would catch my eye.
All right. Thank you.
Yes?
Hi. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you for all this. It was insanely insightful. I wanted to ask what your thoughts are on applying for multiple roles at a company, whether or not you should be honest and upfront about that from the beginning, or if it's something to reserve and ask later if a position doesn't work out.
That's a good question. I think that if you apply to multiple positions, it could run the risk of looking that kind of shotgun approach for hey, I'm trying to get any kind of job I can or something. So what I would do is I would apply for the one you think fits best. And then maybe in your cover letter in the last sentence or something, it's I'm also interested in this thing. And then if you feel you're qualified for the position, you can talk about it there. But only do the application once and target it towards what you're strongest with.
Sweet. Thank you.
Yes.
Hi. Firstly, thank you for the talk and your time. It's greatly appreciated. When looking to hire an artist, what format do you prefer to see your portfolio in? Do you prefer PDF, ArtStation, website, or any of those? ArtStation
is easiest for me because with PDF, it's depending on what screen I'm looking at, it could be kind of stretched out. I can't see it on the screen at once. ArtStation, they have their best stuff up at the top, hopefully, and it's gathered together there. And that's my first kind of, cut.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hello. So you talked a lot about being honest in your interview and in questions, and just considering your strengths and weaknesses as part of a project or past experience. What do you think would be a bad answer or an answer that doesn't give you good input from a candidate talking about their strengths and weaknesses?
I think when people say I'm a perfectionist, or I work too much, or I never stop working, and then things like that, the ones that kind of sound kind of boasty, I guess, are the ones that kind of turn me off a little bit. I definitely appreciate diligence and working to get the job done. But I think that you need to have a tempered understanding of how that can also become a negative thing as well. Your strength can soon become your weakness if it does consume you and you do end up overworking yourself or burning out and those kind of things. So it's hard when you're 20 years old or so to have an awareness of that kind of stuff. But trying to look at it with a tempered view and try to do that empathy exercise again. Simulate how could this be bad, or how could this go wrong, or something like that, kind of imagining the risk. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes?
Thank you so much for your time as well. And I wanted to talk about resume and CVs. I've seen that a lot of people do a lot of designs or work, or they just say, no, just go with one column CV / resume. What would you suggest is the most professional way, but as well the most attractive way to send a CV or resume?
Okay, so the question is, what's the most effective way to send a CV or resume? I'm not really too picky about that stuff as long as it's clean. If you're applying for a graphic position and you don't have a control over like layout, colors, and fonts, then I'm really going to raise an eyebrow and wonder, is this a good match? If you're a programmer, I'm a bit more like lenient on those kind of things. But if it's clean, if it's organized, and it's easy to read, it's the same thing as like a game UI. So like evaluate your CV as if it was a game UI and see if that works for you.
That works, and thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Hi, thank you for your talk. And I was wondering, I'm making a career change into the game industry, and I was wondering, like, does the game industry doesn't like these kind of resumes or CVs that's like too formal? Because I'm from an office work background, and for our resumes and stuff, we don't write our weakness, or we don't be that honest. We just write like what school we went to and like our GPAs and stuff. But while hearing from you, I believe the game's a bit different.
Right, so you're asking, you're coming from the industry, maybe you're worried about the application being too formal. I want to clarify a point that maybe I wasn't clear on, is that when I say strengths and weakness, stuff like that, you don't need to put that kind of stuff on your resume or CV. Like putting it there is not going to add anything. I'll ask you about it, but I don't expect to see it on a resume. A resume is a very formal kind of thing. It's bullet points, it's history, and it has information relevant, experience relevant for the job. The cover letter is the opportunity for you to become personal. I would say the cover letter is a chance to be passionate, because in my experience, if you're not a passionate game developer, you're not going to go very far. So this is your chance to tell us why games are so important to you and why you want to be involved making them.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Just maybe like one or two more, and then we should start wrapping up.
Okay. Do we have an alcove we can go to, or?
Yes. You'll be able to ask follow-up questions outside of this room. We just need to start clearing out.
Okay.
So we'll do one more.
We'll do one more question, then we'll meet up.
I'll go fast. Thank you for your insightful talk. I had a question about the cover letter example that you wrote, or that you put up. It was very cool and very artistic, and as a student, we get a lot of advice to sort of standardize our cover letters or our resumes to avoid getting thrown out by AI selection processes. So I was wondering if you had any advice on that, and if you would suggest sticking with the artistic route and just ignoring the AI
I think this is a chance to employ, okay, so the question was, could a creative cover letter be too creative and get thrown out by AI? This is a chance to cover your bases, like I said before about like the work test. Give me two formats. So give me a normal text-based cover letter, and then do something creative that looked like whatever, or something like that. And hopefully that, I mean, I'm not AI, I don't know what I would reject, but it sounds to me like then you have twice the opportunity to get past those things.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. So the rest of you, I can talk to you outside if you like. I have lots of time.